feels like cheating. You feel that good.
What would be advice to like young riders? What would be like the thing that you wouldn't do again as a rider, that you would change in your career and you don't want others to repeat the same mistake?
I think the main one being like super, like fasted rides was like, looking back for me, for my rider type was just detrimental. It had such a knock-on effect. It's not a sustainable, if you don't do it, even if you do it right, which I kind of got the grasp of later, in my years at Movistar, and then last year when I was still racing. Even when you do it right, it still has a knock-on effect. If you struggle with with your weight fluctuation, I think staying away from that type of thing, as much as the performance gains can be beneficial, it's not as beneficial as being consistent with your weight and with your lifestyle. So I wish because I started doing that so early on, like even when I was junior, I started doing fasted rides, and I just think it must have an effect on your metabolism as you're growing up. It's got to, because I just think for young riders, stay away from that for as long as you can until you're wanting to make very small adjustments, like you said, Tim. Get the 80% right first, or even more, the 99% right, and then those little things like a little fasted ride or whatever for those people who are really consistent with their weight, that might be beneficial. But if you're struggling to get your weight down and find a sweet spot that you can remain consistent with, I'd stay away from anything like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more also, from the nutritionist perspective. Yeah. And I feel like there is like a big difference between like professional riders doing like 5, 6, 7 hours on the bike every single day and starting those rides fasted, as compared to like general public that would do like 1 hour fasted. It's a completely different type of exercise. Perhaps you can survive easily like 1 hour, but when it comes to like 2, 3, 4 hours, that's basically just like a shot into the head. From that like metabolism perspective. Absolutely. And it's just like, doesn't work. And this is really, I think, a really important message for the riders and people to remember, because like they keep obsessing about this, let's maximize fat oxidation rate. Yeah, but it's just then hinders the adaptations, hinders the recovery, and you just can't ride the next few days normally.
Absolutely.
You might have great fat oxidation when you were doing those rides, but like you say, you couldn't do that effort where it carried.
Exactly. I think if you can, I really only started realizing how good you can feel on the bike if you hit, if you really hit those numbers, those carb numbers right. If you're getting your pre-fueling spot on, if you're hitting your intra fueling as well, if you can really start to push it up to your high numbers, your 110, 120 grams of carbs an hour, it feels like cheating. You feel that good, doesn't it? So, like, I wish that if I could have done that from when I was junior through my under 23 career, I know that I'd have been even better rider than I was. If you can start to push that rather than be worried about the other end, trying to, ride for as long as you can fasted. I'd have seen way better gains than, in terms of like numbers I was able to produce, as opposed to, what the scale was saying. I think my advice would be, carb up as much as you can, and stay away from fasted stuff until you've found a really, really, a really good sweet spot that you've been consistent with for a couple of years, and you're looking at making those like very small adjustments.